The 2025 season has already begun, and not everyone has had the dream start. Oliver Bearman, Haas's young talent, suffered a crash that put him out of contention on his first day at the Australian Grand Prix. But was it just a rookie mistake, or is there more to this disaster? Stay until the end because we're going to break it all down. Today we'll see what really happened to Bearman, how this affects Haas, and what it means for the rest of the season. Do you think Bearman can recover this weekend? Let us know in the comments. The 2025 Australian Grand Prix began with high expectations for Oliver Bearman, who was facing his first weekend as a regular driver in Formula 1. However, the Briton would soon experience a critical moment that would test his mental toughness and his team's resilience. In the first free practice session, Bearman looked to test the limits of the Haas F1 on the challenging Albert Park track. With just over 20 minutes remaining in the session, the car approached the fast chicane at turns 9 and 10, one of the most technical sections of the circuit. Everything seemed under control until the car touched the curb too much at the entrance to turn 9. The maneuver destabilized the rear of the car, generating a sudden oversteer. Bearman attempted to correct, but was already compromised. The Haas veered slightly to the outside and entered the gravel zone. From that moment on, the situation became irreversible. The combination of loose gravel and uneven surface prevented any chance of recovery. In just a few seconds, the car lost all traction and slid uncontrollably toward the concrete barriers. The impact was inevitable. The right side of the Haas absorbed most of the impact, leaving visible damage to the suspension, front wing, and possibly the power unit. From the pit lane, Haas engineers closely monitored the impact data. The red flag immediately appeared, forcing the session to be halted to remove the car from the track and clean the affected area. Meanwhile, Bearman remained inside the car, aware of the mistake he had made. His first reaction was a brief radio message, "Sorry." The young Briton understood the magnitude of the problem. Not only had he compromised his own track time, but he had also created a logistical setback for the team. In Formula 1, every minute of training is crucial, especially for a rookie who needs to gain confidence with the car and the track. The pit crew prepared to assess the damage while Bearman returned to the garage. The question now was, could Haas repair the car in time for the second practice session? And more importantly, how would this incident affect his performance for the rest of the weekend? The impact of Oliver Bearman's accident not only affected his own on-track performance but also represented a significant blow to Haas. The team had to act quickly to minimize the consequences of this setback on the first day of the 2025 Australian Grand Prix. As soon as the car was returned to the garage, engineers began an exhaustive analysis to assess the extent of the damage. At first glance, the F1's right side structure showed obvious signs of impact with the concrete barrier. However, the main concern lay with the car's internal components. The initial inspection confirmed that the front suspension and wing had been severely damaged. But even more alarming was the potential damage to the Ferrari power unit and gearbox, two critical components that require a meticulous replacement process and in some cases, FIA approval to avoid future penalties. The team's decision was not long in coming. Given the uncertainty surrounding the condition of the mechanical components, they opted to replace both the power unit and gearbox as a preventative measure. This resolution meant intensive work for the mechanics, who now faced the challenge of getting the car ready in record time. Time was against them. Every minute lost in the garage reduced the chances of Bearman returning to the track for the second free practice session. Meanwhile, his teammate Esteban Ocon continued with his program without any major setbacks. But the results he obtained in FP2 were not encouraging. Haas's performance in Melbourne seemed far from what was expected. Ocon, who completed a 31-lap program in the afternoon session, set uncompetitive times. He finished as the slowest of the 19 drivers who managed to record a fast lap, more than a second and a half off the pace set by Charles Leclerc of Ferrari. This performance showed that the team's problems went beyond Bearman's accident. The Haas F1 couldn't find the right rhythm at Albert Park, a circuit that, after its recent modifications, presented additional technical challenges for the setup of the cars. The combination of factors further complicated the team's situation. Bearman's lack of running time, coupled with Ocon's difficulties, meant Haas was losing valuable information for setting up the car for qualifying and the race. Without sufficient data on the car's performance with different fuel levels and tire compounds, the team was at a disadvantage compared to its rivals. Efforts in the garage were intense, with mechanics from both sides of the pit box collaborating to try to get Bearman's car in condition for FP2. But after hours of work, the worst news was confirmed. The damage was too extensive, and the Briton would not be able to return to the track for the day. The team ended the day with more questions than answers. Bearman not only faced the pressure of his debut as a regular driver in Formula 1, but now he had to face a Saturday at a disadvantage compared to his competitors. With just one practice session remaining before qualifying, the young driver's preparation was seriously compromised. Haas, for its part, needed to find answers quickly. With Ocon at the bottom of the timesheets and Bearman lacking sufficient running time, the team found itself in a difficult situation from the first day of the Australian Grand Prix. The next few hours would be key to trying to reverse a start to the weekend that wasn't going according to plan. Oliver Bearman's accident in the first free practice session for the 2025 Australian Grand Prix not only represented a setback in his debut as a Formula 1 regular, but also became an opportunity to reflect on his approach and adaptation to the premier class of motorsport. The way a driver handles these types of situations defines their ability to evolve and establish themselves on the grid. After the incident, Bearman didn't make excuses. In his first statements after the accident, the Briton acknowledged his mistake with a self-criticism unusual for young drivers making their debut in the top category. His analysis was clear. He had tried too much too soon. In a sport where patience and controlled progression are essential, the young Briton understood that his approach to the session hadn't been the most appropriate. In lower categories like Formula 2, drivers have less track time before qualifying. In this format, finding rhythm quickly is essential because there's no room to build confidence lap by lap. In Formula 1, on the other hand, teams have 3 practice sessions before qualifying, allowing for progressive exploration of the limits of the car and the track. Bearman acknowledged that he tried to apply the same aggressive approach that worked for him in F2, but this time it resulted in an accident that sidelined him on his first day of competition. This lesson is one of the most important for any driver entering Formula 1. Adapting to a more complex car with greater downforce and more advanced systems requires patience and control. Finding the limit in a Formula 1 car isn't just a matter of instinct, but of progressive construction and understanding the changes that affect the car's performance in each session. Bearman realized that, in his eagerness to demonstrate speed from the start, he missed a key opportunity to gather valuable information about the car's behavior at Albert Park. The Briton also analyzed the technical aspects that led to the accident. During his explanation, he explained that he used too much steering angle on the compression at the apex of turn 10, which caused a slide that took him off the ideal line. On a circuit with uneven asphalt and various types of off-track surfaces, regaining control in these conditions is practically impossible. Upon hitting the gravel, the car was out of his control, and the collision with the barrier was inevitable. Beyond taking responsibility, Bearman showed his maturity by highlighting the impact his mistake had on the team. He understood that his accident not only affected his performance but also required extra effort from the Haas mechanics, who worked intensively to try to repair the car in a timely manner. In his remarks, the driver expressed his gratitude for the team's work and regretted having caused them an overnight extra repair at a key moment of the weekend. The attitude with which a driver faces a setback like this is crucial to their development in Formula 1. Bearman demonstrated that, despite his limited experience in the series, he has the ability to analyze his mistakes and learn from them. These types of incidents, although costly, are part of a driver's development in the top category. The important thing is not only to avoid repeating them, but to understand what caused them and how to adjust the approach to improve in the future. With only one free practice session remaining before qualifying, Bearman finds himself in a challenging situation. The key for him will be to maximize every minute on track, avoiding unnecessary risks and prioritizing data collection that will allow him to find an optimal setup for qualifying and the race. His ability to adapt quickly and learn from this mistake will be decisive for his performance the rest of the weekend. Formula 1 leaves no room for complacency. Every session, every lap, and every decision counts. For Oliver Bearman, this difficult start in Australia represents a challenge, but also a valuable opportunity to demonstrate that he has what it takes to establish himself in the series. The real test begins now. The first day of the 2025 Australian Grand Prix made it clear that Formula 1 is a constant challenge, where every mistake has consequences and every opportunity must be maximized. For Oliver Bearman, this difficult start marks a turning point in his career. How he handles the pressure and learns from this experience will determine his evolution as a driver in the top category. The accident at turn 10 not only compromised his own performance but also affected his team. Haas now faces a complex scenario, with a car requiring urgent adjustments and limited information about its actual performance at Albert Park. While Esteban Ocon attempted to complete the training program, The times recorded showed that the American team could be in trouble beyond Bearman's incident. In Formula 1, every minute on track is valuable. The loss of the second free practice session means Bearman will enter FP3 with a significant disadvantage against his rivals. He'll have just 1 hour to make up for lost time, understand the car's behavior, and find the right balance before qualifying. In such a competitive grid, where every detail can make a difference, this lack of running time could affect him for the race. Beyond the technical difficulties, this moment represents a key test in Bearman's mental development. A driver's ability to overcome mistakes and learn from them is what defines champions. Throughout history, many of Formula One's biggest names have faced similar challenges in their early years and managed to transform them into lessons that fueled their growth. The question is whether Bearman can do the same. The Haas team will have to work against the clock to optimize the car's setup and give Bearman a chance to make up for lost time. The strategy for the rest of the weekend will depend on how quickly he can adapt and how much he can improve his pace in the remaining sessions. With a long season ahead of him, the Briton still has room to develop, but every race counts in the fight to consolidate his position on the grid. This incident in Australia doesn't define his career, but it does offer a crucial lesson in the discipline, patience, and preparation required to compete in Formula 1. Now, attention turns to his next outing. Can he overcome this difficult start and show his true potential? The outcome of this weekend is yet to be written, and the answers will come in qualifying and the race. The pressure is mounting, expectations are rising, and Bearman has the opportunity to change the course of his 2025 debut. Share your opinion. Do you think Oliver Bearman will be able to recover in qualifying and have a strong race? Leave your comment and analyze his performance with us. If you want to follow all the Formula 1 action and know every detail of the Grand Prix, subscribe to the channel and activate notifications. The next few days will be key in this season's start, and we'll analyze every moment here.